Is you and your restaurant ready for when a disaster hits? This is the question we're going to cover in today's show. I'm going to share with you our personal experience from yesterday. And yes, we're in Texas. And yes, it is extremely hot. It's in the middle of June. And how would you think a natural disaster is going to happen? I'm going to share with you our experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and 5 tips to be disaster ready so you don't have to deal with some of the stuff we had to deal with yesterday. Recording this, it is a Tuesday morning, and Sunday night, just a couple nights ago, we had a humongous storm where, because we don't watch the news much really, where we had lightnings, there was wind, there was rain. It was very loud for like about an hour or two, and you could hear the sirens and the police cars or whatever passing by. And in the morning, obviously on Monday morning, we got up and out and about, when you would drive, the cones in the middle of the road, were all moved. There were trash cans in the middle of the road. And then obviously we got to the restaurant just to figure out what's going on. First thing we walked in, the restaurant was rather warm. You're like, the ACs, what's going on with that? And you walk in and what I'm going to share with you, these are some of the things that happened to us. And so it turns out, we go to turn on the hood does not turn on. And I'll share with you how that happened. But the appliances, first thing we checked is, the make line, is it up to temperature or not? Does the oven turn on? Do we have gas? Do we have electricity, power? Do we have internet? So you just kind of go down. No, we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that. And, it turned out to be this, and then you realize, oh no, this doesn't work. That does work, but this other thing doesn't work. Are we able to open the door? Because if the oven doesn't work, so it resulted to be this extreme chaotic day, and we did not get internet till 8:30 p.m. at night, and the phones were not working. You're like, I'm not going to post it on social media, and our online ordering is on our website. Customers come in to place their order online, so yes, it shows to the customer that it went through, but it doesn't actually print in the kitchen. That results in disaster. Obviously, we're working with Grubhub that is not necessarily directly talking to our system, so they don't know that it does work or it doesn't work. Then in the evening, obviously, we have a fast casual restaurant, so our servers it was just coming in and out, and the servers were taking orders in the front for our dine-in, and then like 30 minutes in, the server's coming back and say, hey, their table so-and-so, it seems like they've not gotten their food for a while. And there's this other table, it turns out the tickets were not printing. So you're going to make the most out of that. So eventually with the make line wasn't working, the plug. So we had to move the make line to figure out which plugs do work. Some of the plugs with the fuse stuff, some of the plugs were not working. Some of the plugs were working. It was an extreme intense day. And again, it just considering it's the middle of June in Texas, how is this possible, right? And, one of the things we also did, we have a Chick-fil-A in our strip mall. We know the owners and we have their cell phone, and, we got a Wingstop. We visited our neighbors to figure out what did they have, what did they not have. One of the things we did realize that some of these bigger restaurants like Chick-fil-A, they have multiple companies for their internet and their phone. So if one is down, the other one's working. Well, brilliant affairs, anyway, so we learned that as well. That's a side note. It resulted to be this disastrous day. We were not sure if we're going to open or we're not going to open. Customers are walking in. One of the ovens is working. The other one's not working. We had to send some of our people home. Then on top of that, the closing tasks were not done properly. And so that added another layer of stress. It turns out that they had left the hood on all night because the lead on the shift did not know even the hood existed. I don't want to go deep into that. And they burnt it burnt the hood, whatever the thing on that, whatever, everything burnt. And so that, again, all in all, to say that a natural disaster can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live in the US or planet Earth. Disaster, it could be natural disaster or any kind of disaster can happen. And it is critical for you and me as restaurant owners, as business owners, protecting our assets, protecting our people to make sure that, we have a plan in place before we need the plan. So when we need it, we already have a protocol in place and our people are informed and we're equipped to handle whatever is thrown at us. And I'm going to share with you 5 tips that I hope it serves you in coming up with a disaster protocol for your business and your restaurant so you are ready when the disaster hits. I didn't say if the disaster hits. I said when, because let's be real, friend, we live on planet Earth and it's bound to happen. So step number one in your planning for disaster is to have ideally written, if not mental, but ideally written somewhere where you have a sequence of critical, whether it's equipment or things that you need in order to be functional. This, first off, you come up with this sequence, a list based on the critical position that they're in. And you know that, like these 5 things I need to be functional and be able to open the doors, right? The other things may not be as critical, but it's important to have them in a sequential way. So when you come in and then there's a disaster, I'm going to first check this. Is this working or it's not working? And then move on to the second, move on to the third, otherwise you're going to be hit by 20 different things that need to happen. And you're like, oh, the toilet also need to be plunged and we don't have electricity and the oven doesn't work and the make line is this and there's a customer waiting on a catering we had scheduled, right? You need to have what in terms of priority, have a sequence that you go through so you don't lose it, that you stay focused and calm in the midst of chaos. Question is, again, do you have that list? Do you have a list of, equipment and different things that are critical to your operations? If not, it'd be great to do that today, right? Because again, this is not a sexy topic, but it needs to get done before you need it. So when you need it, you're ready for it. The second step in being disaster plan ready or what have you is to have a point of contact and a repair company associated with every single piece of equipment in your business. Right? The AC, do you have an AC company that comes and services you? You have to have this somewhere, maybe in a whiteboard, and I don't know where you have it, but that you're able to easily and very fast access that. So your POS, point of sales, what's their phone number? When it comes to disaster, you're going to be calling people, right? Do you have Spectrum or Time Warner, whatever it is, for your phone, for your make line? We have equipment, things that come in, for our hood, for our oven. You need to have these point of contact somewhere very quick that you can refer to make a phone call according to your list, right? And this also is useful because randomly we have, our POS is down, or our manager may not know how to do something with our POS system. They call my husband for this. My husband's the one, hey, call our POS system. The phone number's on the board, right? So, you want to have that available, that list available. You need a plumber, you need an electrician, right? You need all of those that if an issue comes up, your staff knows what to do, who to call, and you have that easy access. So you're not wasting time and minutes, figuring out who to call, who not to call. Do you know what I mean? So have a list of the equipment that I told you that are critical for you. Second step is to have the list of your point of contacts, their phone number, the name of the company, their website, and all of that. Step number 3 is to stay calm. And yes, I know it sounds so poetic, when people tell you, calm down, as though they don't understand the level of stress you're under. I totally understand, because already as restaurant owners, we have enough stress to go around. And when something extra happens, it's really hard to stay calm. But I was talking to one of our managers the other day about this topic of, how to get our people to stay calm, especially on a Friday night or whatever, or in this case, when a disaster is happening and things are really going wrong. And that I remember a line from a movie. It's about like 2 spies. There's a point to the story. They're like these 2 spies that are out there in some wilderness, and they're kind of surrounded by a large group of people that are, whatever it is. So they're kind of hiding with their guns and all of that. One of them is a guy who's very experienced. The other one is a newbie spy or something like that. And so she's telling him, how are you so calm? Because they're surrounded. And he said, I'm not calm. I'm focused. And the reason I'm saying that is because it is very hard to be calm in the middle of the stress. I totally get that. However, what we can do is to narrow our focus and focus on the solution, and particularly focus on things we can control. The natural disaster happens, and as I was mentioning, the closing shift, they did not they moved dishes around. There was not enough prep from the night shift to the morning shift. And, the oven, anyways, all kinds of stuff that had happened from the previous night. They're out of my control and I cannot change them right now. So I need to focus on what I can control at this moment. And I know it is really hard, but I think it's more practical to think about staying focused on the things you can control versus just telling you to stay calm. things are crashing and burning, people. How am I going to stay calm, right? You know what I mean? So I hope that's a tip that serves you. Now, I am not the best at this myself, to stay calm. I easily get stressed, and I'm not the best at it. It's an area I am working on. Particularly, it's not really healthy to get too stressed. When your heart starts pounding, you feel a knot in your stomach. I don't need to describe stress to you. You know how it is. So it is important for us to stay focused on what we can control, especially when disaster happens and it's very chaotic. And as a leader, it is critical to set the example and stay calm and focused. Step number 4 in planning for disaster here that I want to give you is another tip, and that is, it is critical for you and I to have some skills when it comes to problem shooting, to assessing what the problem is and be able to fix some of the minor issues in our restaurant. Some of the restaurant owners, and again, I'm not, I myself am guilty of this, is that we may say that, oh, I'm not tech savvy, so we don't know how to fix some of the POS system or internet issues or something with the phone is not happening. Or I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrician, right? So in here, I actually admire my husband for this. He's the one who specialized in mastering that aspect of the restaurant. The reason is, as you know, calling technicians to come out and help you is extremely expensive. And I'm not going to open that can of worms because I totally don't understand why they have like $150 like a trip charge. And I'm like, how much per hour do you charge? You know what I mean? Which, a lot of times is $100 or more. And it hurts because my background is in engineering. And I know an engineer will not make $100 an hour. But okay, we're not going to go there. But the point here I was going to make, it is important either you or somebody in your management team or figure, actually the other day we have an issue with our restrooms, and it turned out one of our drivers actually used to work for a plumber before, so maybe you have somebody in your company, a staff member, somebody, or one of your managers. If not, it's going to be on you, right? So in my case, with me and my husband, we own the restaurant, so he's able to master that, and he's good with his hands, and he has had to spend hours learning. And yes, it is time consuming, and nobody got time for that, and it's whatever it is, but it saves you a lot of money. Be able to solve there are 2 parts to this that you need to learn some of these things, though you hate doing them, whether it's the plumbing or fixing the internet, is 2 things. One, saving money. So if you can solve some of the minor issues in the restaurant, then you can save that money versus paying it to a technician, especially if you're not super profitable just yet. It kind of hurts to write a check, $300 here, $400 here. And sometimes you have a technician who comes over and they cannot fix whatever it is the problem is. They will still charge you for that problem. You already know that, right? The trip charge, you still need to write them a $200 check, even they did not fix a thing. I don't want to go there. The second reason is, if you don't know what on earth you're talking about, when a technician comes in, they can assess from your body language that you really don't have a clue. They will have you for lunch, friend. They will waste time that they're checking this, they're checking that. And because they're charging, a lot of them, the technician is charging per hour. They're going to spend hours messing with this thing, messing with that thing. Oh, I'm going to change this or whatever, that is maybe even unnecessary. Now, I'm not saying all technicians are like that, but we have encountered many people who will abuse your ignorance if it certainly appears as though you have absolutely no clue. So always when we have a technician who comes out, we either have our manager, if not mostly my husband is, so why are you changing that? What do you think about this? Why are you saying that? What about that? What if it's not this? Always questioning the technician, so holding them accountable. So first off, they solve the problem ASAP and not charging us extra, right? So this tip number 4, which I was trying to give you, is about you learning some of the being able to solve some of the minor issues in your restaurant, whether it's the plumbing or electrician and different stuff. And again, 1, to save you money so you can solve some of the minor issues. 2nd, not to get abused. And the world where, again, it is business after all. People will have you for lunch, friend. So make some money at lunchtime, and don't give your lunch money to someone else. You know what I'm saying? So that was another tip for you that I hope it serves you. Last but not least, you need to have a budget for repairs in particular, and even disasters in your restaurant. And there are many reasons for this. In the first 2 years, I would, like, every time we had an equipment breakdown, I would also have an anxiety attack. For one, we were not very profitable in the first couple of years, as I've mentioned many times on the show, right? We were not very profitable, and like, whoa, why is that breaking? What, things would break all the time, and they continue to do so. Things, also, like, you have a lot of tear in your restaurant, right? Because hundreds and hundreds of people go through your restaurant or use your restroom as an example. Like our toilet seat thing, or somebody sat on it wrong and it would be like shaking, and we had to call a plumber to come change that. It was like $600 for that. I'm like, dude, we didn't plan for that. Why is this happening? And then always, I mean, I don't know if it happens to you guys, but this breaks and something else breaks and something else breaks. Like they all have to decide to break on the same month. That happens in our restaurant. I don't know about you guys, but so once I realized, this just will continue to happen. You just need to have a budget for things and be like, you know what? $5,000 a year is going to be for budget and service and equipment. It is just part of the game. And when you think about it that way, you won't get as stressed and you won't be surprised, because equipment will break down, things will break, and you need to service things. Disaster is going to hit. You need to have a budget for things. Now, it could be different for your restaurant, but ultimately just having that mindset that, every month we're spending $500 a month, for instance, servicing our equipment. And one of the things that happened is we were not servicing our equipment, and the equipment will break down even more. So if you choose to service your AC or service your oven on a monthly basis, a few $100s a month, again, either way, it's extremely expensive and it's unpleasant. Let me tell you, I hate this topic. I really don't want to have this conversation, but if you pay monthly service and equipment, you need to discern if it's a good choice for your restaurant. Sometimes that is better than having the equipment break down and needing to replace that equipment. Okay. But, for disasters, you equally need to have a budget. So when it happens, you're just not shocked. You're like, you know what? We have a budget set aside for that. Even if it's a mental budget you have in mind. I'm not saying necessarily go open a bank account, separate, move money around, which you definitely can do that. But ultimately, when this happened, my husband was like, it's probably going to be this much for this repair, that much to come change the fuse there. To get the electrician's probably going to be this much. It's going to be about $1,200, right? And I was like, okay, that's fair. Mentally, I was able to stay calm because I thought, we need to have a budget for the disaster. And here it is, it happened, and it needs to be focused on what you can control. Disaster is going to happen. We cannot control that. We can control our reaction to it, how prepared we are, and how we zig when it zags. You know what I'm saying? All right, friend, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Making Dough Show. If you've not subscribed, be sure to do so. Give us a thumbs up. If you're watching us on YouTube, know that we're on YouTube as well as all the podcast platforms to make it easy for you to tune into the show. I would love to hear your disaster story and what are some of the unpredictable things happen and how you went about it. Send me a quick email to makingdoughshow@gmail.com. I read every email that comes in and I will respond. If you've got any questions you would like us to cover here on the show in a future episodes, let me know. Again, you can also go to our website, makingdoughshow.com, download some of the free resources we have for you, helping you make some dough, all right, in this business. Again, I appreciate you, and I hope that you're super busy today, and until next time, bye.